How y'all doing? Hope everybody been good. Hope y'all had a good weekend. I wanted to drop in and give y'all a quick little video. And in today's video, I want to talk about a couple different things. First, I would like to talk about this book I was reading. Not necessarily a book, but a quote I read within the book. So I was reading the book Bitcoin is for Everyone by Natalie Brunell. And yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's pretty easy read, and it explains Bitcoin for a person that's just trying to get in, like trying to get an understanding. It explains it pretty well. So there was a Henry Ford quote she was talking about in the book, and it is well enough that people of the nation do not understand our banking and money system, for if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning. So not saying it in the sense of we're gonna go on a revolution, we're gonna protest, but in the sense of like the importance of knowing the basics of our banking system and our money system, which I'm learning myself as well. Because if you look at our current environment, it's a thing where like everything is so expensive nowadays. We're talking about housing, childcare, groceries, cars, everything. And it's sort of kind of one of these things where I'm seeing maybe you might have a mom that works her job, come home, chill with the family. You know, she want to chill out. She might have to get off work now and go DoorDash on the side. She might have to get off work now and go work a second job just to keep up with the bills. Like, things are very, very expensive right now. And I say that to say, if you look at our money system, you look at the way our government is set up, like the way our current system is set up, they have it where things are always going to get more expensive. Maybe they want it where it is steadily getting expensive, but if you look at the past couple of years, we'd have had a sharp rise in prices. But I still want to emphasize things are, even that they want it where it's like 2% inflation, just like a steadily rise. But we have to be aware of that. And even if we're talking about inflation, we even had to go back to the original definition of inflation. So nowadays, definition of inflation is a rise in prices. Every time something gets more expensive, inflation. But if you look at the original definition of inflation, just diving a little bit deeper, the original definition of inflation was a rise in the money supply. Let me see. It was more money in circulation. Let me see. An increase in the volume of money or currency in circulation. So it wasn't necessarily the definition was a rise in the prices. That was a rise in the prices with the effect of the definition. So the definition of inflation being an increase in the money supply, the cause of that's the cause of the rise of the prices. So when you look at how our money system set up, you might think more money, that's a good thing, but that's not really. That sort of kind of has it where money loses value and it makes all the money devalue. So let me explain that in the sense of not even thinking about money, but if you just think about anything in life, usually the more rare something is, the more valuable it is. So let's think about it from the example of we might have a sports card. Let's say you might have a baseball card, and there's only 20 of these in the world. That's super duper rare, so that's that's very valuable. Let's say you have one of the baseball cards, on 20 of them in the world, and then you find out a company prints 5,000 of those. Now it's losing its value because there's more of them. So if you look at money, that's all kind of same thing. Like money that has a limited throughout history, money that has a limited supply is valuable compared to money that is like a lot of it's in circulation. It just devalues the money. It makes it less valuable because how it works is they call it monetary inflation. When you have money being printed out of nowhere and you still have the same products, that new money and the old money is all chasing the same product, so it bids up the prices. Let's think about it from the example of if I go order me a pizza from Papa John's. Usually it comes in 8 slices, but let's say I get it and it comes in 4 slices. I have a big old whole pizza. Let's say I cut it from 4 slices to 8 slices. I have more slices of pizza, but it's still the same amount of pizza. Like, it's still the same product. So that's what kind of same thing with the money. Like, you have the same products, but it's more money, so it's going to make it more expensive. And with that, we just have to be aware, because if we're aware of that, we're gonna have to understand, like, okay, we can't just save our life. Well, you can, but you have to understand, with inflation, you're gonna have it where you're losing purchasing power. So the money you have today is not gonna be able to buy the same things as it will in the future. It's gonna buy less in the future, and that's sort of kind of how they want it in our system, because when the money is losing value, it's going to encourage people to spend it, which they need us to spend in the economy to keep the economy going. And it's sort of kind of tricky, because they'll say, like, our government, they'll be like, well, we want wages to keep up, like, we want wages to increase as well. But if you look at a lot of people, wages are not increasing with the rise in prices, and it's a double-edged sword, because things are really, really expensive, and it might feel like discouraging for people. But that's why I have to come in and say it's gonna be okay, because this is where we have to really lean in on things that matter when we're talking about our family and friends and our support systems, because this is where those matter as well. Because it's okay if a person, it might be a younger person, and they might not be able to afford a house right now. That's cool. It's out of their control, really, because, like I said, things are getting so expensive. Excuse me. But we also have to look at on the other side of, it ain't all bad, but it ain't all good. Or it ain't all good, but it ain't all bad, however the saying go. Where I was also reading the other book, Check Your Financial Privilege. And it's one of these things in America, in the Western side of things, where sometimes we tend to take things for granted. So we'll have it where a person might be sad about something, but you'll have a person in the other side of the world that will literally do anything to be in the position that you're in. Like, we over here and we be sad about things that we don't have, but what about what you do have? I literally woke up this morning, I could take me a shower with clean water. I could brush my teeth. I had food in my kitchen. I had clean water I could drink. And that sounds cliche, but if you look at it, there's 300 million people in America, probably more now, but that's like 4% of the world population. Like, we have it so good over here. Obviously, some people over here have it worse than others, but the average everyday American, we have the basic necessities of things to, like, be so grateful for that a lot of the world doesn't. When we're talking about some people that are born in these other countries, and it's really, really sad. Like, we have to be, it's times where, like, you might be feeling down. Be grateful and content with what you do have, because there's somebody that's not in your position that will literally do anything to be in your position. And speaking on it from a financial perspective, like, I think we don't realize how blessed we have to be to have been born into, let me be careful saying that, being born with a currency or a money system that is somewhat stable. Because yes, inflation, I don't know what inflation is over here, but it could be a lot worse. When you have countries like Venezuela where they have real hyperinflation, or you look at Germany in the 1920s, or what's the other one, Argentina, one of the other countries that have hyperinflation, or Zimbabwe, and you have it where they have $1 million in their money and it can't buy them a sandwich. Like, I'm not being funny. Like, we have to be grateful sometimes, because it could be a lot worse. Like, in the book, I was reading about a story where, the U.S. dollar has been a reserve country in the world. It might be losing value. It still has some value, but back then it had even more value. So you had a person in Sudan where their currency lost a lot of their value, and a person was saving in U.S. dollars, but he wasn't supposed to do that. So they had these people come to his house, take his money, take him to trial, and hang him because he was saving his money in U.S. dollars, to show other people, like, hey, don't do this. You can only use our dollars that's worth nothing. So I'm going to keep emphasizing, it's not all bad, but it ain't all good. Even if you might be feeling like you in a bad position today, I promise you it could be 1,000,000 times worse. And that's what we have to realize. Like, we have to be, in times when we're feeling down, and we're in comparison state, which that's a lot of what America is, like egos and, you know, just how can I outdo the next person. We have to be content with what we already have. We have to learn to be rich in our own situation. Like I was watching this video, it was this caption I seen on Instagram, and this person was talking about how they had it took them a year to get $1,000 saved, but they were so happy. And I think that's beautiful. Like, you being rich in your own situation. I can't worry about what the next person doing. I can't worry about what this person doing. What am I doing? You know, I'm doing better than I would. Okay, that's a win. So we definitely have to be grateful. And what else? My Bitcoin is for everyone, and check your financial privilege. It's a Bitcoin book as well, but it talks about it from a different angle, like how Bitcoin is needed globally. And it really just opens your eyes, like, man, we living over here, and the things we complain about, I'm telling you, bro, people would literally kill for it to have that. So we just had to be a little bit more grateful. The next thing I want to talk about is life is a game of runs. So in our community, we have to, it's mandatory that we start thinking long term, because even if we have it where a lot of times a person comes across an influx of money, a lot of times they blow that money because they're still not thinking long term. Like sometimes we might think that success is a one-time thing where you just make it and you're good for the rest of your life. Usually it don't work that way. So when we talk about you have a person that hits the lottery and they get 100,000 or 50,000, whatever they get, and they're like, man, I'm good for that. And it's like you look up and they're broke. Or you might have a person that, you know, we're just seeing examples of the athletes and everything, and it's sort of kind of normal because people have to realize money doesn't last forever. Life is a game of runs. When we're talking about business, you might have a 5-year run in your business, and that's cool, but not in the sense that your business through after that, but it's like you had 5 good years. Like, business already know how hard business is. And the thing that's tricky though is you have to be humble in the rise. So when you might have your first year in your business taking off, be humble with that, and, you know, enjoy the process, be happy, but also understand, like, this might not be what it is next year or next month. Like, you know, we have to understand life is a game of runs. There's only one LeBron. You know, you have people that have the 20-year runs, but that's a small percentage of people. You might have your 3-year run here, and then it might slow down for you, but that's okay. The problem it comes in, I was watching the Social Proof podcast the other day, and I think her name is Donnie. She was talking about living in current means living above future means. So that might be, you know, we always talk about lifestyle creep, where a person spends as much as they make. So you might have your first great year in business, and then you go out and go upgrade your lifestyle, but then the business slows down. So now you have this super duper high lifestyle that you can afford now because it has slowed down. So we have to continue to live below our means even when things are going good. We have to establish ourselves first, then we can ball a little bit. Always keep your overhead as low as possible, because it's just going to always give you more freedom. It's going to always give you more things to play with. And when you have it where your overhead is as much as you bring in, it's tricky because you don't always know how long it's going to keep coming in that good. So we have to be aware of that and learn to think long term and slow down when things are good, and being humble. You know, we had to still be here when the smoke clear. Like I said, it might be okay. You had a 5-year run of business, and now it's not as good as it was, but you're okay because your overhead is still not that high, so you still can maintain. So that's how we got to start thinking, just slowing down a little bit. But just wanted to drop in and give y'all a quick little video. I didn't want to talk y'all heads out today. Definitely got a couple videos I got coming out. A couple of them, man. I'm just going to try to keep them rolling. If y'all have any questions, please reach out to me. If y'all could, like, comment, subscribe, and y'all stay blessed.